there was a court order from Judge Wilbur Owens of Macon, Georgia. They had been trying to integrate the schools for years, but it just would not happen voluntarily. White students were not voluntarily going to go to black schools, and black students were not voluntarily going to white schools, even if they had transportation. So Judge Owens issued an order forcing students from our predominantly black high school into the white high school that I attended. But there's not enough room unless we bus the white students out of that school, or at least a large number of them, and that included me. And so I'll never forget, it was on a Saturday afternoon. We were playing our crosstown rival, Albany High School, that night.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Westover High School, which was 95% white. Our football team was almost all white. Coach Clark came in. I could tell he was visibly upset. We were there all afternoon to get ready for our game that night. And he said he had some bad news. And we thought, well, maybe somebody had died. And he said that 22 of us football players, along with many students in the high school, would be bused Monday morning to a different high school, even though we were playing Albany High that night. On Saturday night, on Monday morning, I would be a student at that high school. And we were furious. It didn't matter to me they're black, white, red, green, or purple. Why did I have to leave my high school to go to another high school just to make room for somebody else? And it caused a lot of tension, and it caused and I look back at it now, and it also resulted in a lot of white flight. A lot of parents pull their kids out of the public schools and send them to private schools, or move to another county where they could attend a different school. And but mom was very serious that I get an education wherever I was going to get an education, and ended up playing for Albany High School. Was not a very good football player, but I love the sport. And we had a winning season, which we would not have had at Westover High School. And three of the players that I played with ended up going to the NFL, and I still keep up with them today.
You mentioned it was a bit of a Remember the Titans type experience, that Denzel Washington movie that was actually filmed down the street here in Decatur. Why did that movie ring a bell?
We had to go to football camp at Albany High School. Westover High School, the football camp was in the air conditioned school, in the air conditioned gymnasium with nice showers. Albany High, where I was transferred to, our football camp was an old Army Nike base. No indoor plumbing, no showers. We had to bathe in a creek. And the football players were there in barracks for 2 weeks. When we integrated, it was the first time that black students and white students not only had played together, but had lived together, and under dire circumstances. So, no, it was, remember,
Teenage boys with no
yeah,
showers. That's great.
and there were fights. But at the end, the coach was very good. The coaches were very good at saying that the best players were going to play on first string, regardless, because we're all here to win. And it taught us all, I think, a very good lesson. It was meritocracy in sports, that our job was we were going to play as a team, and we were going to win with the best talent that we had. That's been a lesson I've learned throughout my life.
Now, this is going to be a theme here, but you transferred to Albany High School and were elected student body president at a school you hadn't gone to for the last 2 years. How does that happen?
I had been elected a student government official at Westover. And so when we were all transferred to Albany, we had to have a special election, in all fairness. And I was immediately elected for reasons I really can't remember, as vice president. And then that spring, I ran for president of the student body at a school that I'd only been to a few months, and was elected president of the student body there.
Did you have competition?
Yeah, I did have competition, but and it was again a lesson that I learned throughout my life was that I built a coalition, not really thinking of it as a coalition when you're in high school, but of boys and girls, blacks and whites, trying to find common themes that we all could agree on, and that was the uh, beginning of my political career. Also,
What were some common themes at Albany High School in 1970?
the common theme was that we wanted to have more choices for lunch in the cafeteria. There was also we wanted to be able to go to the junior college and get high school credit. But the real reason I think I won that election, as you said, there was a competition. All the students were brought into this auditorium to hear the speakers. And I had learned, thanks to a ninth grade teacher, how to memorize long passages and speeches. So I was the only candidate who went up to the microphone without a note and looked at the audience face to face. That is a talent that I developed in high school without realizing I was developing a talent that has served me through all of my adult life.
So you went up without any notes to describe the school lunch choices.
Yes, and also use humor. I always found that using humor in with any audience helps break the ice, and then you can get down to the real business.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the junior college thing. Tell me, describe to me 24 hours of your high school experience when you were and yeah, and all of the things that you did in 24 hours when you were 17 years old.
After the football season, um, I knew I needed to get a job so I could go to college, and I got a job at the local post office sorting mail. So I sorted mail from 11 at night to 7 in the morning, went home and showered, went to high school from 8:30 to 12:30, and then junior college from 1:30 to 3:30. And
When
then
did you sleep? And what did you
and
do?
then
Sorry, what did you do from
and
3:30
then
to
from
11?
3:30 until I fell asleep, I would do homework and study for the next test. But that was not unusual. My schedule was unusual, but every student that I knew in junior college had at least a part-time job, and many had full-time jobs. It's much like where I teach today at Western Carolina University, where 65% of the students are on Pell Grant, and almost all my students have a part-time job with many full-time jobs. So it was, as looking back on it, how on earth did I do that? I appreciate every night I get a good night's sleep, that I don't have to go to the work in the middle of the night. But it was, I did not consider myself any different than anybody else because we were all working hard.
Now, I you have a story about why you decided to go to law school. I also have a theory that it's because you weren't really great at a bunch of other jobs that you tried in this time period. What are all the jobs that you did that didn't go so well in this time?
The, um, our high school theme of our graduation was we are part of all that we have met. And I believe that to this day. And the only reason I remember that's the theme is because our high school senior class voted on who was going to give the commencement speech. Um, and they voted for myself and two of my best friends to give the commencement speech. And we can say we are part of all that we have met. I worked at the post office. I was a truck driver for Roadway Express and mostly worked on the dock. I was a bartender. I was a server to defray living expenses. I lived in a funeral home for a year. And so I've had, when I applied for admission to the bar, you had to list every job that you'd had. And from the time I was 16 until the time I took the bar exam, I think I had 19 different jobs that I had to list.
Between 16 and 25.
Yeah.
Um, so I think there was a story about you've fallen through a roof. You've you,
Yeah,
you've
I
had a
was.
few a
I'm
few
glad I became a lawyer because I'm certainly not a carpenter. I think I'm a pretty good bartender, but I am not a carpenter. We were working on the roof of a school, and I fell through the roof, through the ceiling, onto a conference table as the Board of Education was meeting.
That's one way to make an entrance.
Yeah.
Uh, you say you're a good bartender, but I think you also have a story there about a bride.
the, there was there were there was a rehearsal dinner at the restaurant, and it's our nicest restaurant in Albany, Georgia. And we had to wear bow ties and jackets, and so the room where the rehearsal dinner was had a vaulted ceiling, and I was really trying to be too cool, and I had the drinks on the tray, and of course you're going to serve the women their drinks first, and back then you had hurricanes, you had daiquiris, you had all the fruity frou-frou drinks. And as I was walking into the room, the beam from the ceiling hit all the drinks, which fell into the lap of the bride to be. She was not happy. I don't think her groom to be or her parents knew that she knew such words. Well,
Well, glad you became a lawyer. Why did you become a lawyer?
in Georgia, back in the 60s, and I don't know if it's still true today, but all of us had to read To Kill a Mockingbird. Was in the 7th or 8th grade, and I read it. I really didn't understand it at the time. It was all the violence and the racism was again an anathema. But then I saw the movie with Gregory Peck playing Atticus Finch, and it dawned on me that when I watched him give that closing argument, and that's what I wanted to do. I didn't know any lawyers. I never met a lawyer, but I wanted to be Gregory Peck, not Gregory Peck, the actor. I wanted to be Atticus Finch, the person trying to convince 12 people to do the right thing.
And what happened when you told, let's say, your high school counselor that you want to be a lawyer?
Uh, Albany High School was very much I'd say, a blue collar working class high school. Not that many of us had dreams of going to college, and I was one of the lucky ones. And I was the only person in my class who wanted to be a lawyer. And when I went to the counselor said, because I wanted some advice on, what should I do, how to prepare. She said that I was the first person that she'd ever counseled who wanted to go to law school. She had to look it up.
And you ended up going to junior college, as you said, staying at home, saving some money. And where did you go after junior college?
After junior college, I transferred to the University of Georgia, became a Georgia Bulldog, and finished my undergraduate degree there. And I was very fortunate because of scholarships and the money I'd saved working that I did not have any student loan debt, which is not true for so many college students today. But I did not have any student loan debt, and I applied to the only law school that I knew I could afford if I got into law school, and that was the University of Georgia. I got accepted, but then again, I didn't have any money. But I went back to my hometown, and the president of the local bank, who was also a Rotarian, who had helped me get one of the scholarships, loaned me the money to go to law school. And so because of that, I was able to get a law degree.
Amazing. Well,